Okay, when you get your amp kit, it's going to come with a few things. Now, this is the first one. That's your power cable. These are your RCA cables. This goes directly into the subwoofer. These are your miscellaneous clips and cable ties, all part of your kit. You should get it. This is speaker wire, just in case you've got a separate amp. And this is your control wire, the remote wire. This is what tells the subwoofer to turn on and off, but we're going to explain that a little bit later. Finally, the ground cable. Okay, next we have to remove the air filter housing. Now, it's very, very simple stuff. You've seen me do it before when I had to change the mass airflow sensor. It's on one of my earlier videos, so it's not really difficult. So like I said, a flat screwdriver does most of the job, and you pull off the flexible housing and undo the Volkswagen clip for that the mass airflow sensor. Once you've done that, it's on to just releasing the actual air filter housing itself. Like you saw there, you need a 10mm socket with an extension. It helps if you've got an extension. And yep, just undo it, take your time. Underneath the filter, there is a small vacuum hose. Just ease that off with a screwdriver. Okay, we're inside the car now. Now it's just about easing up these plastic door trims. Now there's no screws in them, you just have to ease it up. I'm using one of these, I don't even know what they're called, but it's like a tool that helps you do it. I don't know what it's called. You can tell me in the comments box. But it's all just clipping. All the plastic moldings around the car are just clipping. So once you've just clipped them out, you can just go on to the next step. As I said earlier, all the panels are clipping, so be careful, try not to break the clips that actually hold it onto the vehicle itself. So just take your time and ease it slowly, and don't yank too hard on anything, because you'll have to replace anything that you break. Okay, you're going to have to slide your seat forward so you can get full access to these screws just in this trim area here. Now there are a couple of Phillips screws. Make sure you keep them safe because they are different to the other ones. And then once you've removed these screws, it's just a few more clips and you can take it out. With the trim removal tool, see I remembered the name, just clip it up. Now what you're trying to do here, you're just trying to ease it up out of its grommets that hold it down. But you're going to have to lift up the seat because there is another kind of screw clip that holds it down, which I'm going to show you now. So with your seat lifted up, you remove this grommet. Now it's just screwed on, you can't pull it off, it's just screwed on. So I'm just showing you how it goes on and off there so you know what you've got to do. Once it's loosened, just use a little bit of force, no crazy force, just a little bit of force and it just all lifts up, everything just falls out now out of place. Just take your time and just take it out. I decided to remove the glove box on this install because I wanted full access and I didn't want absolutely no restrictions. So you start this by removing the ashtray, and the ashtray is held in with a couple of clips on the side of it. These are both either side. Don't put too much pressure on them because they will break and it won't sit back in, but there's two clips either side which just release and lift up. To get to the hidden screws behind the cup holder, you need to remove the cup holder. Now these are held in with like little bendy tabs, which you can just see me pushing in there, and it just slides out. Once you've moved it out, the removal screw, the hidden screws are just directly underneath there. Now I removed just the side of the armrest to show you how easy it's come off. Now the screws to remove the hidden screws are Torx. I believe they're Torx 15. So use the Torx 15 screwdriver, socket, whatever you've got just to remove them. With the covers removed, you can gain full access to the 13mm socket that's located on the side of the armrest. Now, I don't know if you've seen me do this before, but like I said, it's just a 13mm bolt. It comes out just with that one bolt. Good practice is to put the bolt back in where it came from so you don't have to think and worry about where it came from. Now the next step is to remove the center console. Now there's two Torx 15 or Torx 20, I'm not 100% sure, located on each side of this console. So just proceed to loosening them and put the screws in a safe place as usual, and then you're going to be able to, this should loosen up everything around this area, and you should find that there'll be a little bit of movement everywhere. Once it's all loose, remove the gaiter, which is just about pushing it in. I should have used my removal tool, to be honest. I'll get that out of the way and then it should all loosen up. To remove the glove box, remove all the screws, the 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, and there's 1 in the bottom right hand corner. Just give it a little bit of a nudge and it comes out. Now you're going to need to push the carpet back so you can get full access to where you're trying to push the power cable through. So you want to try as best as possible to see the bulkhead of the vehicle, because you want to see what's happening under there. Now it's not, once again, it's not very difficult. All this stuff is common sense. Just take your time and work at it, and you get to where you got to get to. So now here comes the good part. We're going to try and get the power cable into the car itself. Now at first I thought this was going to be a bit tricky, but it happens that this is quite easy, which is excellent. Now if you can see where I'm zooming in here, there's actually a rubber grommet there. Don't pay attention to that wire to the left of the screen. Right in the center of the screen there, you can see a wire grommet and a little oval shaped hole. Now that hole goes directly into the car itself. Now, you've got to try and put something through that hole and drag something back through the hole. Let me explain. This is another shot of it there. Once again, you may need to move that soundproofness around it. Now, what I use is some sort of a screwdriver. It's not even actually a screwdriver. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's like a screwdriver sort of thing. If I was going to use one, it'd be a Phillips rather than a flat. That's just for advice. Now, you can see me going to that little hole and lightly twisting it in and pushing it through. The reason why I twisted it in is because I didn't want to catch on anything particular and split and short circuit anything in there. So I kept it moving freely while I pushed it through, and just so I could make sure I got it through. Now once you're inside your car, you can see me, safety glasses, always smiling. It's a good looking guy actually. Once you're inside the car, try and get some light under there so you can see exactly what's going on. And there it is, poking through from the bulkhead into the actual car itself. I'm just touching it just to show you how it's come through. It'd be really hard to find it any other way than do it like this, but that's how you do it. Now, once it's in there, what you're trying to do is wrap a piece of cable, wire, whatever you've got that will do this job. Now, the idea is to wrap it around the screwdriver itself, sellotape it to the screwdriver, pull the screwdriver through on the other end, and then do the same thing the opposite way with the cable itself. So let's just see how we're doing it here. So now a bit of sellotape under there. Now remember, you're laying on your back, so it can be a bit tough. Maybe something more flexible would have done a better job. I'm not really sure, but this is how I done it, and this is what seemed to get me through. Now once your sellotape is attached to the rope inside, you have to take your time here and drag it through. Now try not to drag it too hard, because you don't, I say that, look what I did. But I was lucky enough, I had enough tape wrapped around it that it still came through. And now it's coming through in the actual car itself. There you go, look at that. So now we've got a surefire connection into the actual car itself. Now this is my power cable that's going to be, that I'm installing. Now you didn't really have to see that, but you know what I mean. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tie it to the cable and pull it back through, like I said earlier. Now I use sellotape and I tried to twist it, plait it sort of thing, but still kept it very straight as possible, because I didn't want it to catch on anything, separate, and have to do that all over again. So wrap it up and try and get a good clean kind of securing fitment. And with the same screwdriver, put it straight back into that hole, just to give it a little space, a little something to work to, a smooth surface, you know, just to brace it open while it slides through. Now here's a tip that I didn't realize till later. Get some soapy water and spray it on the cable. Now this is going to help it slide through. See, all these little tips, they just make things a lot easier rather than it catching. Now once it's through, you can take out the screwdriver, and as you can see, I'm putting it quite fast through. I was really happy when I did this actually, but it's excellent. Now there you can see it's all in the car there, ready to use. Start stripping the other side of the car by removing the bonnet catch, the bonnet handle itself. Now what you've got to do is open it up and inside there's like a lock-in kind of clip. So get your tool and back it out like you see me doing here. Now this will save you breaking your clip because I didn't know until I worked it out. So there you go, it comes off. Just so I show you how this clip works, because it's a tough thing to see. So here it is here. So there's a hole in the side of it. And then you slide it in to lock it. On to moving the kick panels. It's just a flat screwdriver. Just turn it a quarter of a turn, and that loosens it. And undo the kick down thing. I didn't have a name for it, sorry. But it's simple, you could undo it by your hand, or just use a lock-in, or just use an adjustable wrench. Once you've done that, it just pulls and clips out. All this stuff is pretty much like the other side. You just need my same tool, and it all clips out, screw in the middle of the B pillar there, and then just pulls out. It's all exactly the same as the other side, but I thought I'd just show you again so you're sure. One thing I would recommend is on the B pillar where the seat belt is, that plastic mold in there, try not to pull too hard. You will have to pull hard, but not too hard, because you'll break the clips. And like I said, you'll need to replace them. Remember to keep the screws in a safe place. And it's important to note that this actual long side panel, which runs along the bottom of the car, is actually quite flimsy. So be careful where you put that, because you don't want to break that, because it'd be quite expensive to replace. As you can see, it is useful to have one of these removal tools, but it's not essential. But I would advise getting one if you can. Now the next thing we're going to do is run the remote wire from the sub to the stereo. Now this wire turns the sub on and off. It lets the sub know that the stereo is on and it should be activated. So it's important to remember you have to run them separate from you have to run the power lines, this as well, separate from the RCA cables, because the current will cause interference with these cables and it will hurt your sound quality. And if you want to feel the bass, then you need to do it this way. Let's get on with it. Now we need to run the cables down the side of the car. Now this needs to follow the route of where the trims were. Underneath the trims there's some electric loom, so that's what we're going to be attaching our power lines onto. So just lay it down and map it out so you know where you're going to go. Once you're to the back of the car, just slide it underneath the seat. The two wires will slide under the carpet there and push it through into the boot. Once in the boot, just pull it, just tighten it up a little bit so you release all the slack that's inside the car. You're going to need to cable tie the remote wire onto the actual loom inside the stereo, because you don't want to be pulling this through and making it short for when you actually come into installing your stereo itself. So make sure it's cable tied here so you can later on connect to it easily. I cable tied the remote wire next to the loom that was already there, so I just used whatever wiring that was already there and followed the route of that. The kit comes supplied with small cable ties that you can use for this, but any cable ties, doesn't really matter. As long as it's secured, you know you're not going to have no problems later on of anything moving or rubbing up against it. If you can't find a loom to directly attach it to something else that's also quite sturdy and stable, because like I said before, you don't want this moving, you don't want anything pinching it. And wiring this already there shows that it's safe and it's suitable for what you want to do also. Once you've got it through, tuck it behind the carpet and start to run the cable down towards the back of the car. A word of advice here is to be patient and take your time. There's no point rushing this stage, because undoing this all again is a hassle. You don't want no problems here, so just take your time and do the job the right way. Prepare your RCA cables for install. Now we have to do the same with the other side of the car. I'm undoing these RC cables. RC stands for really cool. No, it doesn't. I don't know what it stands for. But these are called RCA cables. I can't call them RC cables. with your Radio Corporation of America cables, start to wire them back through your car. Now you're gonna have to wire it under the dashboard and down the side of the car like we did with the other wires. Once again, tuck them in under the seat and then drag them through in the boot. Trunk for Americans. Your car should now be looking something like this.